I came across you, of course. I see that you're fighting on the Undercard Closer Shields on the 5th of March. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to find out some information about you, let the people know who you are. You got an interesting boxing story behind you, so I think we should bring that to the world, bring that to the people to let them know what's up. So, of course, before we start, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, my name is Danielle Perkins. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I fight out of Houston, Texas.
And can you tell us what weight are you competing at?
I fight at heavyweight. I fought on Team USA as a super heavyweight, won world championship as super heavy.
Yeah, because one thing I did notice, you were competing in the world championships twice, and you brought back 2 medals from the world championships, a bronze and a gold. The gold medal at the world championships, that just says elite. What was that like?
I mean, the bronze medal from my first worlds, I had to withdraw from the tournament because I tore my ACL and my meniscus in the medal round, so I finished with bronze. And I told myself that next year when I come back, I'm going to win worlds. So that's how I spent the majority of my year focusing on singularly getting after that goal.
Also, though, when you won the bronze, you didn't actually lose to be eliminated from the tournament. You actually had to withdraw.
Yeah, I wasn't able to pass the physical. I couldn't stand, so they were trying to They were actually trying to send me in for surgery while we were in New Delhi, but I flew home to get it done at the Olympic Center.
Okay, so on top of 2 world championship medals, you've also won the US elite national title and a continental title in the United States as well. Is that correct?
No, I won that. We were in Honduras.
Honduras, that was it. How many amateur fights did you have altogether?
I had 18 amateur fights.
18 amateur fights. And looking at from BoxRec, you won the majority of them. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah, you was definitely. I can see definitely from the amateurs. From the amateurs, looking at your reservoir, you was definitely one of the top amateurs in the female category. And looking at your medals list and reservoir, yeah, you was definitely getting it done. So track back before 2017, before 2014. You was playing basketball. Is that correct?
Yeah, I grew up playing basketball the majority of my life. I went to Bishop Loughlin High School, St. John's University, and then I played overseas for a little bit. Like, basketball was my passion. I never saw myself boxing.
So what got you into boxing? Because I understand you had a bit of an accident, but what taught your attention to boxing?
I mean, I've always loved boxing. Like, I grew up in a household watching boxing. It's just something my parents weren't going to allow their daughter to do, so it wasn't an option.
So for basketball, how many years was you playing basketball professionally?
Only 2.5.
2.5. What country team was you playing for?
No, I never played for one team. I was always contracted out to teams. The very first team that I was contracted out was in Puerto Rico and Caguas, and the last team that I played for was in Italy, in Promessia. That was my last team.
Okay, so what was it like for the first time stepping into the boxing ring and getting involved in the sport and deciding, you know what, I'm actually going to pursue this as something competitive? How did that feel?
I was nervous. It was nerve-wracking. There's something, even though the outfit's still the same with the headgear and so forth. When you first step into the ring and it counts, it means something. So it brought a lot of intensity. My very first fight was 40 seconds because I didn't know that you didn't touch gloves when you spar. I mean, when you fight. So I'm used to touching gloves when I spar. So I went to go touch gloves and the girl punched me in the face and I was like,
okay,
this is different. Yeah, this is different. And then I just cut loose and it was 40 seconds. I broke one of her ribs and broke her nose, and that was the end of the fight. I didn't even know what happened. When I look back, I was like,
damn, was that me?
That was interesting.
just like, out of the 18 fights, how many of those fights were wins? Because I can probably imagine it's what, 15 or 16 out of the 18.
Oh no, there was only one fight that I had that was not in my favor. And then I went back and I fought the girl and I won. It was a boxing lesson that I think everyone learns when they're coming up. You never take a fight in someone's home. Unless you take them down, knock them down, and they don't ever get up, it's not gonna be in your favor. So it's something that I learned early on. I think it was my third fight. I took a fight literally at someone else's gym, and even the girl was surprised. I was like, "What?" All right, you live and you learn.
Next time, but you got a next time, right?
Yeah, I fought her at nationals. It was different.
Different story, different tale, different ending. The right person had their hand raised and the right person was laying on the floor.
Right.
So, yeah, from next time, looking at your amateur record, it definitely looks like you got around, you fought the best. Well, you was the best and you was knocking them out to do so. What made you decide to turn professional?
Well, in the Olympics, they don't have my weight class. So that was my only, Worlds would be the pinnacle for a person at my weight class. Like that, all you can do is win Worlds. Outside of that, you'll just continue to compete and be in this cyclical system of basically fighting the same people over and over again for basically the same medals. So I decided that after I won Worlds that it's time to move on, because of course the Olympics were supposed to be last year. So I anticipated that I wouldn't, as an amateur, have any bouts because everything would have been centered around the Olympics. Needless to say, that didn't happen, but I don't have any regrets for turning pro. It was the right decision.
Because I understand that the 2012 and 2016 Olympics, they only had lightweight, middleweight, and flyweight. For the 2020 Olympics, were they going to introduce more weight categories?
No, usually they'll introduce the weight categories if the Olympic Committee has a meeting or something to introduce weight classes. But from what I understand, nothing's going to change. Okay,
so Worlds was really the pinnacle of what you could have achieved, and you got there twice. You won the gold for it. So of course, the average weight class, I think, for female boxers would range between flyweight and lightweight. That's where you'll get the majority of fighters. So at heavyweight for female, I think you said before, you end up fighting the same girls over and over. Was there much depth in opposition when you was an amateur on the world scene? What was that like?
Well, the first Worlds in India, there were about 33 girls in the weight class.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. What about domestically? What about when you was fighting for the nationals and just regular club fights? Was there a variation of female fighters who you was able to oppose with?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. People just appear. It's not like I think that I always enjoy about international contests are that there are various styles, and of course they're the best of their country, so you really actually end up getting a decent fight, a really good fight actually. And I enjoy the chess match of a good boxing match. Usually stateside, a lot of women who actually come to fight, they really don't train, so you end up having a lot of like wild matches where it's generally one-sided.
It's a shootout. They come swinging. Of course, you're gonna come swimming back, but you know what you're doing with that swinging. Yeah, I can understand that. Also, I can imagine. Well, of course, when you're at the Worlds, everyone's there for a reason. The reason everyone's there because they've proven they are the best within their region, within their area, within their country. So that's why they're there. Whereas domestically, anyone can decide to pick up a pair of gloves and say, you know, I'm gonna give this a try. Let me jump in the ring and give it a try. So I can understand you at that point.
Yeah, generally it's over time, it just seems like a lot of people who were actually pretty good in my weight class either dropped down or went pro. So, and even as pros, a lot of them dropped down in weight. So it's been stateside, the competition for amateurs is limited.
So you currently box at heavyweight. Are you able to go down to cruiserweight or light heavyweight, or is heavyweight just your weight?
No, I can go cruiser or light heavyweight.
Is light heavyweight? Is that ever something? Is that something you've considered, or are you sticking with heavyweight?
Well, I want to win all the belts as a heavyweight first.
Going on to that, professional female heavyweights. Now, the WBC, I'm aware, out of all the four major sanctioning bodies, they're the one that do have a WBC female heavyweight champion. It was first won by Vonda Ward in 2007, then picked up by Martha Salazar, and I think it's currently held by Alejandra Jimenez.
Oh, Jimenez. Now the title is vacant.
Oh, it's vacant now. Because I know she got found out for ped usage, and she was stripped of the super middleweight title. She was also stripped with the heavyweight title too.
She vacated the heavyweight title.
Oh, she vacated. Okay.
She vacated the heavyweight title, and then she fought French Sean for, what was it, I'm not sure, it was a 68. Yeah, the middleweight. But yeah, I actually have called out Jimenez a couple of times. I think that would be a decent fight.
Well, at this point of time, I'm not sure what Jimenez is doing, but yeah, the title is open, and as I said, WBC are campaigning for active female fighters to go for that title. One question I did have to ask though is, of course, the depth of females who are at heavyweight isn't too deep. How does your manager navigate a path for you or trajectory for you to compete for this title?
Well, the thing is, there are a couple of people who would actually present a very good, fight. Due to COVID, a lot of people are just inactive. So with that, we of course want to be able to give people time to get in shape and give us a good fight. Like, I don't want to have anyone say, well, I wasn't in shape, that's why. No, I don't want to check every single box. I want you in the best shape that you can be in. So when I win the title, there's no excuses, no pushback. So we're going to win it clean, and we're going to win it entertainingly also.
That is because I said it's not been done too often, but it has been done before in the past. Female heavyweight boxing can be a thing, and I think it just needs the right faces and enough bodies around it to create a scene around it. As we've seen with the lightweight scene, the welterweight scene, the super middleweight scene, you've got quite a few girls in there who create the scene, who create a presence, and people tune in because they want to see these fighters fight one another. Heavyweight has always been the glamorized division of all fighting divisions because it's the biggest, the best. So if you can get women into that division, at least about, let's say, 3 bodies into that division that are notable names, definitely that will draw some kind of attraction. How many fights do you think it will take you to get to that WBC heavyweight title?
I think after this fight, 4. I think 4. I should have the WBC in the 4th fight.
So you have this fight. So you're fighting on the 5th of March in Flint, Michigan. After that fight, you'll be able to fight for the vacant title, you believe? Oh, that's looks in the full. So your aim is to win the whole line, undisputed, IBF, WBO, WBA, WBC. Have you and your management been in talks with these other sanctioning bodies about opening up the female heavyweight titles for these divisions?
I mean, of course, that's been the game plan from the very first fight, is to sit on the throne. You know, as of right now, I'm uncrowned, so overall is to make sure the unified championship comes with, of course, a lot of responsibility, you know, but also a look, you know, a fighting style, and of course a decent showing every single time. You know, I like to showcase boxing. I mean, I can knock people out, so I guess that I have to give people more of that. But
when it comes to the heavyweights, there is the style, there is the looking good, but at the end of the day, people want to see a quick knockout. If you can knock people out within 3 rounds in each fight, they'll come back time and time and time and time again. Just to ask, on your amateur resume, out of the 17 fights, how many of them were knockout wins?
TKOs, I think I had about 7 or 8. I've only had 4 knockouts clean.
When I say knockouts, I just mean the referee stopped the contest early, either due to they've been on the floor, they've been knocked up, disorientated. How many times did the referee stop the contest early before the 3 rounds were up?
I would say about 12 times.
12. So 12 out of 17. If you can do that with head guards on with 16, 14-ounce gloves, what are you going to do without head guards on with 12-ounce gloves on? That's always the question they ask you when you go into the pro game.
Yeah, but people are stubborn. I feel like amateurs aren't as stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hit an amateur a couple of times really hard, and they're like, "That's enough."
Yeah, they'll walk out. They'll say, "You know, I'm not getting paid for this." But in the pros,
exactly. But the pros, you know, you like I watch a lot of you can't watch the male knockouts because they're very different than female knockouts. Female knockouts seem to be more overwhelming, like a swarm of bees coming at you, versus male knockouts look like shotguns.
Mm.
So I want to have my knockouts look more like shotguns opposed from the swarm of bees.
The one punch, take them out, clean, done, short ends, possibly just when the second round starts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a different kind of overwhelming, but that first round has to have more pressure on it, for sure.
So I think this is so far. Of course, overall, around the world, women's boxing has come to light more in the last 8 or so years. Not saying that it wasn't relevant beforehand. It's always been happening. There's always been stuff happening. But I feel like more major limelight has come to it since 2012, since females could take part in the Olympics. Since then, you've had the likes of Clarissa, Katie Taylor, Franchon's doing her thing. So many of these females now out here. Female heavyweights haven't got much attention. People haven't realised that, hey, there's females still out here and they're fighting in this division and they're actually winning stuff like world championships such as yourself. You turned professional last year. You picked up 2 fights. Now you've got a massive opportunity on the undercard of the Clarissa Shields undisputed title fight. How did that opportunity come about?
I don't really know Clarissa, but we've actually communicated a couple of times. You know, she was one of the people who congratulated me after I won my world, and of course, I've always been a fan of hers. Clarissa actually is I mean, she's actually kind of she drives a lot of women's boxing. Like,
oh, definitely.
Yeah, but just behind the scenes also, like even in her conversation, like she connected me and Mark Taffet. I fought on the first card in Detroit, which wasn't really a great showing. And Clarissa was like, "Hey, Mark, you need to check out Danielle." He had never heard of me, and I was a world champion. So, as most people have never heard of me, although I'm a world champion. So he took a look and he said within the first couple of minutes of watching the fight, he goes, "This is the next world heavyweight world champion." So he goes, "You get more looks, you get more opportunities, and people are going to see exactly what I see." And so his vision, it was, of course, to have me and Clarissa on the same card. This is a huge opportunity for women's boxing, period. This pay-per-view is gonna be eye-opening. So I credit a lot of my entry success to Clarissa actually speaking up and connecting me and Mark. And Mark's been doing a lot of good work behind the scenes to make sure I have decent opportunities. The rest is up to me.
No, I definitely agree. Clarissa's been very vocal. She's been a very good advocate for women's boxing because she's been very vocal in women getting opportunities, women getting paid equal or around the same to men, women being have the opportunities to fight for world titles and to be on these big shows and stages. And she's led by example because she's showing that we can be just as good, or females can be just as good as the guys. We can accomplish these things too. My first Olympic win, that wasn't a fluke. I did it all over again. Me winning world titles, it wasn't a fluke. We did it again and again and again. Shout out to the champ, Franchon, just entered the room.
What's up, Franchon?
I need to get an interview with you too at some point. But yeah, Clarissa's definitely done a lot for women's boxing to help you guys get to the point that you are. So the card on the 5th of March, I think it's a great showcase. You've got yourself, you've got Clarissa, you've got Raquel Miller, who was also a world championship medalist, Nadia McNuzy, another female light heavyweight, cruiserweight. So this is really going to open up the doors because I know you guys have been fighting mostly on small venues, casinos, town halls, but that's not getting you out there. That's not getting the message of your fights out there. This kind of platform, you're on pay-per-view, you're on the card of a world title fight, one of the biggest names in boxing. this brings it all full circle and gets the people seeing you. I thought actually so should be seeing you guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, my last fight was on NBC, and I opened up for a very good, very stacked card. So opportunities are starting to open up for women, and opportunities are going to continue to open up because women have great skills, and the speed and, of course, the reaction time has picked up tremendously as the strength training has picked up and the ability to be more athletic in the sport and less linear.
So from the fight, as I said, I believe fight on the 6th, fight on the 5th, you'll get through that. Then you're talking WBC World Title. What, where, who, what show will this WBC title be on? Because surely you can't have a WBC title fight at a local town hall. Surely when you're having a fight of that kind of magnitude, it needs to be in an arena, a venue. It needs to be televised. The world needs to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully in the summertime, it'll have to be something. And you're right, it'll have to be a big show. There's no way you have a WBC in a small venue. And hopefully by the summertime, we'll be through the majority of these COVID protocols, and we'll be through these vaccines, and we'll be able to have a show. Because through my very short pro career, I haven't had an audience yet. So,
yeah, I was gonna say.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Shows so far, so
yeah, 2 shows during COVID, no audience.
The fight on the 5th, will that show have people there, or will it be another empty arena show? Will there be some people there?
That's unclear. I haven't received any information around a crowd, so I'm assuming that it will have the same setup as the shows that I've been previously fought on. So I'm assuming that it will be a COVID event.
Because there's been some fights, for example, the Danny Garcia, Errol Spence fight, they had a limited capacity in the stage. I think it was about 1/4 full, but that's still something. I would like to believe that at your event, there will be a few people there. But nonetheless, it's going to be televised, correct? It's going to be on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So ultimately, yeah, you'll still get that extra following, those extra views, people seeing it. It's been recorded, likely be up on social media, internet the next day. You hit this girl with a savage knockout all around social media on video phone. It's going to be recorded. It'll go viral. Female heavyweight champion, soon to be WBC, knocks out girl on closer shows undercards. It's the perfect setup. Perfect.
Hey. That sounds perfect. I'll take it.
In this day and age of social media and the internet, everything we have around us, sometimes it can just take little breaks like that. It just takes little things just to get out there, and that straight away puts you to the heads. And like I said, the heavyweight division is always something that's looked up to. It's always something which everyone's looking to for the knockout, the big punch, the biggest, the best. And when you have a female fighter as heavyweights, it's a unique twist to it that not many people are expecting. And when they do see it, it's interesting. It's completely interesting. When I came across you for the first time, a female heavyweight who's good, who's in shape, who's a tall structure, athletic build. Let me check this out. Oh, she's good too. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on her.
Oh, I appreciate that.
A
lot goes into this.
My prior years, I was a professional boxer in the UK myself, had 14 fights, 12 wins out of the 14 fights. I understand the grind, the hustle of boxers. I understand sometimes you don't get the recognition that you most likely probably should be getting. And a lot of fighters I've noticed, they've won medal, especially with the female fighters, they've won Olympic medal, not Olympic, that's an exception. They've won world medals, Commonwealth medals, championships all over. But due to there only being such a small spectrum on the sport, small window of gateway for fighters who are going to get that main TV slot, it can be very disheartening to be training every day, doubling up your sessions, dieting, doing all of that, and only so much comes through. So I fully understand that side.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask, how many times are you currently training a day? Have you stepped up your camp? How much into the rhythm of sparring and fighting are you for this fight on the 5th of March?
Well, right now we're up to 3 sparring days. Outside of the 3 sparring days, there's of course cardio and 5 lifting sessions. So I get roughly about 10 to 12 sessions a week of working out.
For this fifth, do you have any idea who you're versing or who your opponent will be?
Um, I've signed my side of the contract, so it's unclear who will be the opponent. I've been told some names, but I mean, I'll be there and someone will be on the other side. That's
That's what, that's
that's
all that
all I
matters.
need. Yeah, that's
You'll
it.
be there. That's all that matters.
I'll be there and I'll be ready and I'll be locked and loaded. So whoever else is on the other side, God bless them.
Sorry for them. It's gonna be a long night. No, it's gonna be a short night.
It's gonna be a
Short night,
night
and a long
night.
night of sleep. And for the WBC, so of course, you said for the fight after the fourth fight, likely a WBC title. Any ideas who might be on your end of that, or who they're getting lined up for that?
There are about 3 names on that list, and for the most part, they've agreed to taking a fight after this fight. So I should have 3 additional fights hopefully this year after this March 5th fight.
So we win March the 5th. On the 4th, you pick up the title. Then the 5th and the 6th, the defenses against the 2 possibilities.
Or just 2 other titles, 2 different titles.
2 titles. That would make sense. Sounds like a good plan. Well, Danielle, thank you for your time. Thank you for hearing your box story, hearing your side of events. Of course, I'll keep up to date with you and check out how things are going close towards the fight. Probably even touch you one more time before the 5th to see how everything's going. Are there any last words you'd like to say to your people before we sign off?
No, I appreciate everybody. Be ready for a good show on the 5th. I feel like you're gonna see boxing at its best, and it'll be a good time. Go ahead and get your pay-per-view now. Don't wait till the price goes up, because it probably will. That's just how marketing works. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it always.
Like I said, it's going to be a stacked card. You've got undisputed super welterweight championship between Clarissa Shields, Marie Eva Declare. You've got Rakeem defending her WBA interim title. You've got Nadia Menzuki, Danielle Perkins, and plus you've got the guys as well on the card. It's going to be a packed card. We'll see you then. Danielle, all the best for the training. I'll see you then.
All right.
And have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.